Hi, my name's Seth. Welcome to my channel where we rank things. Today, I thought in honor of the new movie Night Swim that just came out, you know, that movie that features a haunted swimming pool, we might take some time to take a look at some of the, more memorable haunted household items that have appeared in film throughout history and just kind of see, how scary some of them actually are. We're starting off with one of the most classic haunted items. That's going to be the doll. Mostly, I think Annabelle, probably one of the more famous one of these. Chucky, I guess, technically could fall under this as well. Can be kind of creepy, right? But if you really start to break it down, I don't know, you got to factor in like how small and pathetic these things are physically. Sure, there's like all the ghosty stuff that happens, but also I've got no problem throwing one of these things away. Though they do always kind of seem to find their way back into the home in these kind of movies. Overall, I think this one is going to be in the B tier. They can be creepy at times, but they're not getting anywhere near the top. In my opinion, another one of the more like normal kind of things you're going to see on this list is going to be a car, right? So, for example, the 1958 Plymouth Fury from the movie Christine. This thing is definitely terrifying. What does it have going for it more than the doll, right? It can actually kill me physically. This thing drives itself. It crashes people like into things and gets them killed. It runs people over. It can self-repair, right? So that's a big thing. Like you can't like just kind of smash it up and have that be it. Even trying to blow this thing up and lighting it on fire is not enough to get rid of it. It's evil right from the get-go. You don't have any real explanations, right, on what's going on with it. And that's cool. I like that. I'm going to have no problem putting a car up in the S tier. I mean, regular cars kill people all the time, so a haunted one? Yeah, it's even worse. Now, if we're talking about cars as a whole, that's one thing, but what about specific parts of a car? Well, there's this movie named Rubber, and in that movie, a tire goes around and kills people. It's got psychokinetic powers, and so it is, a little more scary than just like a regular tire that could move around. But overall, I think this thing can be pretty creepy too. The movie itself, very strange. If this thing's coming after you, you're probably gonna have a hard time getting away from it, but I still don't think it's gonna get any higher than the B tier. Next up, I want to talk about the idea of an entire house being haunted. And there's a lot of different examples of this kind of thing happening, right? Amityville horror is something that comes to mind. But for me, I think maybe the best example of a haunted house, like itself a cursed house, is in the movie Monster House, right? You think, well, it's for kids and everything, but the idea of this thing actually eating people, it gets up, it moves around. The climax of this movie is very exciting, but I think if we're going to rank it like among other cursed things, it's got to be pretty high up there, right? The house going up into S tier is an easy call for me. The thing could smash you, it wouldn't even be a problem for it. Let's take a trip inside of the home though, and the next thing I want to mention in there is a bed, a cursed bed, a haunted bed. And there's one in the movie Deathbed, The Bed That Eats. From a title like that, you can kind of figure out what's going on. This bed like dissolves people with like acid kind of stuff. Like when you lay down in it, turns you like all foamy and stuff. It's pretty nasty. I do like sleeping, so I think that it's a nice trap for people, right? People like to be in bed, and when you get in bed, you think it's someplace you're going to be safe, so you're definitely caught off guard. We're just looking at it from like a movie point of view. It's pretty dumb. A haunted bed, that's going to be in D tier. Another item you're going to find in every house, right? That's going to be a mirror. To think that one of them could be haunted, it's kind of creepy, right? Think about the movie Oculus. Not only is the mirror kind of manipulating people and possessing them, but it's also changing the way that things are perceived. That's all pretty creepy stuff. Any of these items that's able to take control of people is automatically going to kind of make it a little more dangerous. Again, I feel like you can just kind of run away from this thing. So let me know when it has legs and maybe I'll be a little more concerned about it. I'm fine with this thing getting up into C tier, but I'm not really going to go much higher than that. Haunted paintings, right? That's something that's pretty old, right? These cursed paintings, Dorian Gray, right? That's a real old story. I'm way more interested in the painting of Vigo the Carpathian in Ghostbusters 2. Right? It's got the spirit of this guy in it, and it's trying to get reincarnated. It's able to actually leave the painting, even outside of just like getting people to do its bidding. So it's definitely got some actual legitimate threat to it. Like before it's even able to kind of finish its job of like getting this new body, it's kicking the Ghostbusters butts all over the place. The fact that it can get at you even without it being in your own home definitely adds to it. I'm putting this thing in A tier. Something that's going to show up a little bit lower on the list for me, though, is going to be the idea of a haunted elevator. Like the one that's found in the movie The Lift. It's able to do things elevators don't normally do, like open the floor. I feel like if I was the opening kill in the movie, right, this could be, pretty scary. But if some other people have been dying on this thing recently, I'm going to be taking the stairs. So it's not going to get too high for me because it's, again, pretty easy to avoid. So that one's going to be in that D tier. In the movie Poltergeist, the whole house, again, kind of haunted. The ground they live on kind of haunted. But really that imagery of the TV and it being kind of a vessel for the ghosts to come into the home is really what's the most iconic thing. It's a big old TV, which isn't around much anymore. Static, again, not something that happens on TV. So, it's kind of run its course in that it's not as scary as it used to be. Like if I was watching the movie Poltergeist back in the day and then I fell asleep and I woke up and it was on the static in the middle of the night, I'd be terrified. But nowadays, if I finish watching Poltergeist, it's just going to be showing me what's next on Netflix. It's lost a bit of the magic, so I'm going to keep it in that C tier. Similarly, when we talk about the videotape from the movie The Ring, the fact that the technology is just completely out of date really does knock it down on the scary level, right? Back in the day, you'd be watching The Ring by putting a videotape of The Ring into your VCR. Nowadays, it's just not happening. Also, again, it's one of those things where I'm just not going to watch this movie that's, going to kill you in 7 days. I know that a kid watches it on accident, and that's kind of what motivates things to be going in the movie. But again, it's just not going to be around in my house. Or at least put it up on a shelf, right? Come on, make it hard for this kid to get to it. At this point in history, this is D tier. The movie Brainscan is going to be similar in that, if I know there's some haunted game, I'm just not going to be playing it. This one does come with an actual mascot dude that shows up, though, the trickster, and not something we're seeing in a lot of these other movies where you're getting a physical manifestation of some kind of weird character to go along with it. So that does kind of make it a little more exciting, though. Again, I think you get tricked into playing this game because you're chasing that high. I've done everything. I've got to do this because it's the craziest thing. That's just not me. So for that reason, this thing's not going very high for me. I think I'm gonna put it in that C tier. Now, a haunted book, the one found in the Evil Dead movies, the Necronomicon, that could be a problem because I don't necessarily have to be the one to read it, right? Somebody else can just be reading in the other room and all of a sudden my whole day is ruined. I would hope that a book being bound in human flesh and everything is going to stop you maybe just a little bit, or maybe at least consult the people you're on vacation with. But that just never seems to happen in these movies. Because of my lack of control in what happens with this thing, I think I'm going to put it in the A tier as well. Now, though Jumanji itself is not a horror movie, right? Kids, family adventure. The fact that this haunted board game can suck you into it or throw giant killer plants at you or crocodiles or huge mosquitoes, and there is a lot in here to be afraid of. I think a lot more than there is for a lot of these things are even supposed to be in horror movies. The board game in Jumanji, way scarier than the video game in the new Jumanji, right? Things coming into the real world is always going to be creepier than you showing up in just this fantasy realm. I'm gonna have no problem putting this one in B tier. I think this thing is definitely nightmare fuel. I wouldn't even argue with people putting it higher. Now, it's not a big jump from a board game to a Rubik's Cube, right? And that's essentially what the Lament configuration is, the puzzle box from the Hellraiser movies. I don't know, I look at this thing and I'm it looks like it's finished already. Why do I need to be messing around with this thing? Plus, this is another thing like that Brainscan video game where you're just kind of only messing around with it if you're looking for some next level stuff. And again, that's not where I am at this point in my life. It is a bummer that I could end up dead because of, other people messing around with this thing. I'm going to be fine with it being in that C tier. And that brings us to one of my favorite things that I got to learn about in working on this list. And that is the giant laundry press that is featured in the movie The Mangler. So it's a haunted machine that does laundry. If you just keep your hands away from the moving parts, if you follow OSHA regulations at all, you're going to be just fine. Even just with saying what it is out loud, a haunted laundry press, this has got to be in that F tier. So we go from a giant piece of machinery that takes up a whole room to just a tiny little button. Now, cursed buttons, right? Not showing up all over the place, but it does show up in the movie Drag Me to Hell. This lady curses a bank employee by, putting a curse on her button and giving it to her. You don't want to lose track of cursed items, right? That's how you end up succumbing to the curse. You can't get rid of it if you don't know where it is. And you do not want to be the person holding this thing at the end of the movie. I guarantee you that. This movie earns its title. I think I'm going to put this button up in that A tier. Similar to the size and shape of that button, we have the Aztec Gold from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, those golden coins. The difference between them is that you kind of bring that curse on yourself, right? Again, I'm not out there stealing treasure. I'm not out there spilling blood for it. So I think I'm going to be pretty safe when it comes to that. Now, of course, unless my dad was somebody out there killing people, just like it works out in the movie. But I know my dad, and I don't think that he's holding that kind of a secret from me. And then lastly, that's going to bring us to that haunted swimming pool that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, as featured in the movie Night Swim. Guys, this is there with the Mangler. It's an F tier. Just don't go swimming, right? There's enough creepy things that start happening when people are swimming in there where it's just like, I just think we're not going to go in there anymore. And there it is, just a quick little look at some different haunted items. Did you know about all of these movies? Were any of them new for you? Do you know of any other really weird, haunted, cursed things that are in movies? I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. And if you have an idea for a future tier list, please let me know in the comments. I might just do your suggestion next week. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to catch the next tier list that we're going to be putting out. I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, you take care. See you later. Bye.